In this drill, we're going to learn how to isolate and dissociate the motion in the lumbar spine. So what we're going to need to do is take a little bit of a classic spin on the cat-cow that is utilized in yoga. From here, we will be able to build upon this drill if we can start to learn how to just isolate the low back, and then the mid back, and then the neck. Into these motions, you can start to learn how to segment the spine. We want these joints getting motion, and we want these joints getting feedback. The deep tissues need that stimulus. It's very difficult to do when we're just constantly doing core stabilization drills, that with all the other exercises we choose to do in the gym, for instance, like a lat pull down or a bench press. The spine is not getting that motion, the extremities are, so we're going to facilitate and introduce it because a lot of people struggle with this. So without any constraints at first, that's what the ball will be for. We'll take the cat-cow position. If this is difficult for you on your wrists, you can always make a fist. And if you don't like that sensation, have a towel or a pillow right there. Same thing for the knees if you can't be on the knees. But we want to make sure that the knee is relatively underneath the hip and that the hands or wrists are underneath the shoulder itself. Now, a classic cat-cow is going to look something like this. But in this motion, or in this instance, what we're going to be doing is not moving the head and the neck or the mid back and the rib cage. We're going to try our best to not move there, and we're going to try to facilitate all that motion through the pelvis and the low back. So I'm going to have to really focus and move very slow and methodically. And the first thing I'm going to try to do is go through extension, which is this motion right here. So as I'm bringing my pelvis and tailbone up towards the ceiling, I'm paying attention to my head and my neck and also my rib cage. I'm going to start to drop my belly button down towards the ground a little bit more. And I'm going to be lifting my tailbone slightly higher with each second. And then I'm going to start creating a little more tension and dropping the middle of the lumbar spine. There's 5 vertebrae down there. And as I start to tighten that up even more, that right there is about my end range for the moment. So I'm going to hold that for a quick second. I'm going to make sure that I didn't move my head and neck or move my rib cage and my mid back. Just a little check-in. And then I'm going to start reversing it. So I got to make sure I keep all that stuff still again. I'm tucking my tailbone under. I'm lifting my belly button up towards my spine. And I'm starting to round and round and round, nice and slow. You're going to see this is a very difficult thing to do, is to learn how to flex that lower back without moving anything else. And I'm probably starting to cheat a little bit and get into my T-spine. It's okay, because as we practice, you'll start to get better. But you're going to notice a really strong core contraction here, especially as you lift higher and higher. And we want to squeeze out that last little bit. Breathe, tuck the tailbone under you a little bit more, and then come back to neutral. That right there would be 1 repetition. So if we want to build some constraints, we need things around us that are going to give me a little more feedback. So what I could do here is I can come a little bit lower. I can rest my sternum on a ball or rest the lower part of my sternum on the ball, whatever it might be. Then what I'll do here is I'm going to do that same cat-cow in my lower back, but I still need to make sure that my knees are somehow underneath my hips. I don't want them out here. I don't want them too high. That will change the sensation. So for now, we're going to stay a little more neutral. And as you want to venture around, you can totally do that. So with constraint, nothing changes. I'm just trying to not shove my body down into the ball as hard. And I'm also not trying to lift my sternum or rib cage away. I personally really like using a constraint. It gives me really good feedback. It's almost like someone has their hands there, and it isolates me a little bit more. And it makes the drill, I think, a little bit more effective and efficient. So if you don't have a ball at home, you can stack up a bunch of throw pillows or whatever it is that you choose to use. And that right there is the isolated lumbar spine cat-cow. One last little bit. We don't want to push into pinching pain or shooting pains down the leg. We want to stay away from those sensations. If that's happening, we want to utilize a little less range of motion. And as you're approaching any sort of pinch, you would pause, and then you would stay there for a second, and then reverse the position. We also want to think about the physical spine here, right here, coming up towards the ceiling, not necessarily the pelvis just tucking underneath. We want the spine to go up that way, and then the spine to come down through the ground.